All right. Today we're going to make the beginnings of a Pokedude game. Pokedude is it's an original game I made. There's this one game you may have heard of that's similar to name. Well, they stole that from me. Just kidding, for copyright reasons. Now we're gonna make a Pokemon-inspired game. And it's a good exercise in subclassing and organizing code. So I hope that you get something out of this because you're going to end up really building a lot off of this. Okay, so we'll start with the demonstration, and then you're going to run with it. I made a folder here. I'd like you to download these images, and these are the images that I've made. You're going to make others, of course. You may not know why I have generic and empty. The generic, I could have used empty on both of them to tell you the truth, but I just thought it'd be funny to make a generic Pokemon. It's just a little guy. It's part of my organizational structure that I want to have those things there. So hopefully that'll make sense later. They're really just placeholders. Okay, so once you've done that, we're going to save those in a folder called Images inside another folder called Pokedude. Then if you would open up a new Python module and save it in the Pokedude folder, and we'll just call it Pokedude. All right, so here we are. We will be using Pygame 0. It's easier to use than Pygame or some of the other gaming engines that are available, but it does have its limitations, right? You have to sacrifice customization for ease of use, but that's okay. All right. I'd like to start with a window that is 850 by 600. Feel free to adjust this as you deem necessary. Now, in general, I like to avoid what I call magic numbers, but you might see me violate that, or you will see me violate that. I just feel like it's going to become too much of a practice of dividing and adding and all that stuff, and you might lose sight of what the purpose of today's project is, the demonstration. So please excuse that. All right, we're going to start by making a class. Class Pokedude will subclass actor. So that means a Pokedude is an actor, and all the methods and all the variables that have been written for us, wonderfully provided for us by Pygame 0 as a built-in object. We have all these objects. Where is actor? It's somewhere. Actor. All this stuff that we like to use about our actor, we're inheriting by simply saying parentheses actor. I would like to make a constructor for our Pokedude, so let's do that. The constructor is init. And like all methods, the constructor has to have the word self at the front of it. That's what makes it object-oriented. That's what makes it a method. And we're going to have one parameter that is not default. So by making this not default, I am mandating that if I ever call this constructor, I must supply that value. And I want to do that because I want to know for sure that that's set, because if I try and set it automatically, it's just not going to work because I need it to alternate. That's going to be true or false depending on if this Pokedude is player 1. I'm going to start with the hit points, or health points, whatever you want to call it, of 10. But this is customizable, okay? because it's still listed. This is a special feature of Python. Usually they don't allow you to, most languages I know don't allow you to do this. But I'm saying HP is 10 unless they override it and tell me what they want HP to be. The power of a Pokemon. Oh my goodness! I might. Excuse me. I might get sued here. The power of a Pokedude is set to 10 by default. We're going to give them some mana. I'm not using that today, but mana is your. You lose mana when you try and perform special actions, and so not every action will require mana. And we're going to start with a default defense of 10. So I could imagine certain classes having extra mana at the beginning. And I would also imagine that Pokedudes might level up over time and gain across the board higher stats, but some Pokedude type classes will gain more in some areas than others, okay? All right. So, since we're writing a constructor and we're subclassing actor, we must call the super constructor or we will not be an actor. So we just say init. Now, the actor constructor requires an image. So, generic. So, this generic image, I could have used just a blank image, but because basically I don't ever want someone making a Pokedude. So that generic image is going to be an indication to me as a coder later on in the game that, oops, I made a Pokedude without making it a specific type of Pokedude. Make sense? All right. I'm going to set a variable that says true if you're player 1, false if you're not. Now, some other knockoff Pokedudes allow for there to be like Pokedude trainers that have multiple Pokedudes, but we're actually just going to do a one-on-one Pokedude battle here, just to keep things simple. So, if you are player 1, and I could say if player 1 is equal to true, but I don't need to. I can just say this, because that's either true or false. Then we're going to set our home position, and here's some magic numbers for you, to 100 and 520. That's X and Y. And this is the home position in our stadium, our Pokedude pitch, if you will. Else self.home. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not a method. It's a tuple. Home is going to be a tuple, an XY point. Sorry about that. And then this one here, if you're player 2, we're going to put you on a different side of the Poke pitch. Pitch is like the field in soccer, by the way, for those of you that don't know. Traditional soccer terms borrow a lot from Pokedude. All right. Now we need to set the HP of this Pokedude. It's going to be set to the HP value. So it'll be 10 unless it's overridden. Perhaps a stronger or more health conscientious Pokedude. I'm thinking maybe like the Sleepy Pokedude class. Tends to have a lot of HP. Power. Mana. And defense. All right, now we are actually going to have several different images. All right, and so we're going to have self.resting. And the resting image is just equal to your current image, which is generic. So we're going to set the resting image to the current image. Attacking is going to be set to self.image. hurting will be equal to self.image. So if we do not set resting, attacking, and hurting, we'll have the weird-looking stick figure generic image telling us that we've got a problem with our images and such. So that's because I don't ever want to have just a generic image appear. That's why I have that there. Then, but I've got to have some image loaded. I can't make an actor without an image. So I had to have some image. All right, so self.position, that's the position located on the screen. That's going to be self.home. Okay, well, this is probably why you shouldn't use magic numbers, because I already don't like them. I was just doing some recalculating. Let's make player one's home at 100, 450, and 700. Let's do 175. I think that's going to look a little bit better for me. And, of course, you can change that later if you want. Okay, so we've discussed... self.position is going to be self.home, so that the position of this actor will be what's home. But I actually don't want that because we're going to make our Pokedudes have like a dramatic entrance into the Poke Theater, the Poke Pitch. So we're going to do self.home bracket 0. Now that looks weird. I know. That is the first number. That's the x coordinate. That's how you get the first number in a tuple, just like in a list. Comma self.home bracket 1, and then we're going to do like plus 85. Okay. Now what that's going to do is it's going to start out a little bit below, because remember the y values get bigger going down than where the home is, and we're going to move the Pokedude home here in just a second. All right, self.options, we're not really ready for that yet. I don't think. I tell you what, let's not do that yet, because if we do that, or we'll just put a comment next to it, so it won't read it. If we do that, then we can't test our code. We're going to go ahead, though, and do self.weapon. Now, so the Pokedudes can have a weapon that they can use. And this could be like a fireball jet, a bunch of boulders, or like a water stream, or something like that. Or even something advanced like a hurricane. But in order for our weapons to work as an actor, we must have an image. So we're just going to give them the empty image right now. That way, they're just not drawn. Okay. That's probably not the best way to do this. I should probably make a variable like is active and only draw the weapon if it's active. But I just felt like this would get us the same result quickly, and if not the most memory friendly way, but that's okay. All right, it's time to bring our Pokedude into the arena. So this will bounce. The tween we're doing an animation of, and when you call the animate function in Pygame, hold on, I'll come back to that in just a second. I just want to show you this real quick. Oh, where's animate? Oh, animations. So tween is the type of like animations to do. So you can play around with these things, these different types of animations. Duration is how long. On finished is a function to call when you're done. And target is like where you are trying to go to. It's your target animation. Okay? Now, when you call the animate, though, you have to give it. You'll see one of the. It has some default parameters, but you have to give it an object to animate and targets. So, I've got self tween will be bounce start end, and my target is going to be a position value of self.x and then self.y minus 85. So remember that I started, and that's a tuple as well. That's an xy coordinate. So I started my Pokedude at the home position and for the x and the home position y for but plus 85. So I'm taking that 85 off, and that should allow us to do that. All right, so let's test out our Pokedude. So I'm going to say P equals Pokedude, and it is true that you are player 1. I'll say def draw P dot draw. And PGZ run dot go. All right, so there you can see is our Pokedude. I had to change his colors. I had him black, so it was black on black. But I made the generic Pokedude is red. So maybe now we can see our sweet little animation. And we should see your Pokedude come in and start jumping around. Yeah, he's jumping around. So there he is. There's my Pokedude. Now make sure that you're clearing your screen. If you don't have a screen dot clear, while you're animating, I did not have that a second ago. I think make sure you add that. If you don't have that, what's going to happen is you're just going to see this like image of your shadows of Pokedude. So screen.clear will clear the screen. And, we might replace that with blit to blit the Poke pitch on there. But right now I'm just using the black background. So yeah, that's the generic Pokedude. It's pretty exciting. We're going to make him a lot better. All right, so we're going to add some methods to our Pokemon superclass. Pokedude superclass. Def rest. When your Pokedude is at rest, self.image is equal to self.resting. Now, this doesn't make a lot of sense because our generic Pokedudes resting, attacking, and hurting are all the regular image. But this will change when we add more images. All right. Def hurt. Self.image is equal to self.hurting. So this will be the image of your Pokedude when your Pokedude has been hurt. However, we will not want our Pokedude to hurt forever. So we will use the Pygame clock to schedule a task. we're going to call self.rest. Now remember, we always call methods by putting the parentheses. But when you're scheduling it, you don't want it to call right now. You want to bind it to a time. So we actually don't put the parentheses. The negative behind that is now I can't put any parameters in self.rest. So I just have to wait. Okay? So after this is the duration. After 1 second, we're going to call self.rest. So when your Pokedude gets hurt, first it takes on the image of hurting. That will last for 1 second, and then it will call rest and set the image back to resting. All right. Now we've done rest, we've done hurt. It's time to do hit. Every Pokemon, no matter what. Oh my goodness! I keep mixing it up with some other Every Pokedude will be able to hit. So if you're out of mana and you can't use your Fire Blade Jutsu, you can still hit. Okay, you can still hit. So here we go. Oh, now I'm infringing on Naruto copyrights? What's going on here? Alright. Yeah, but have you ever noticed that there's like multi-tailed beasts in Pokemon? What's up with that? Where's the copyright infringement? In Japan is like multi-tailed beasts just like a common thing? It's in the Creative Commons there? I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so here we go. Self.image. We're going to change our image. Well, we've had self.resting, self.hurting. Now we're doing self.attacking. Self.attacking. Oh, wait a minute. We can't just hit. We got to know who we're hitting. So we got to hit the other Pokedude. Self.hit other Pokedude. All right, now, here's how you're going to hit them. Now, I did some fancy coding where I checked if I was left or right of them so that I actually have my Pokedude, when it hits, runs through the Pokedude. So we'll come back. I'm going to put a little to-do. Use if statements to see if player 1 and move through other player. Because you have to code it a little bit differently to run through player 2 with player 1, then player 2 run through player 1. But for now, we're just going to run up to him. Okay? We're going to say self.animation equals animate. So we had an animation earlier, right? But now we're going to rewrite that animation and call it self tween accelerate. So we're going to accelerate in this animation to the position of the other Pokemon's X, other Pokemon's Y. Well, we could do that. We could also, I think we could just say other Pokemon dot position. Pokedude dot position. Oh my goodness. All right. Next, we're going to tell it what to do when finished. What will we do when we're finished with hitting the other Pokedude? And that command is called onFinished. And you have to give it a function to bind, just like you do on clock schedule. So again, I cannot call a parameter. I just have to say return home. We'll write that in a second. And then the duration will be 2. So it's going to take 2 seconds to complete this action. All right, now we're going to deal some damage. How much damage do we do? Well, we take our power and we subtract the other Pokedude's defense. Now, it could be that the other Pokedude has got so much defense that that would become a negative number, and you would actually be healing the other Pokedude. Which is quite possible. If you have like a lightning type Pokedude and you do like a lightning defense, it would actually end up healing the other Pokedude. I'm not sure about that. So that would be more coding. Then we'd have to do the different elemental defenses and things like that. I'm just going to make it to where damage can't be negative. So I'll say if damage is greater than 0, okay? Then the other Pokedude's hit points will decrease by damage. And I will schedule unique other.hurt 2.0. So I'm going to wait 2.0 seconds to call the hurt. Why 2.0? Because that's how long this duration was. 2.0. I like doing decimals there. Okay? So it takes 2.0 seconds to complete this animation, so I'll wait 2.0 seconds to call other hurt. I'm missing E's everywhere, apparently. And schedule unique. Okay. And that's pretty much it. But we still have to do. Have we written rest? We've got rest, right? But we need like. We need return home. Have we done return home? I don't think we've done return home. All right, we need return home, and then we can test it. Def return home. This is called at the end of the animation. So this is another animation. What are we animating? Ourselves. Where is we going? We're going home. On finish, what will we call? Self.rest. And the duration 2.0. So that'll be a linear. We could do a decelerate so that we do like a tween. We could do a decelerate. I think is how they say that. Let me see. Okay, animations. I'm at the Pygame. Decelerate. Yeah, let's do decelerate. So I'm going to go ahead and add a tween here. Try that. Okay. So that should be okay. All right, I got an issue here. I'm supposed to say I need to say POS equals. I forgot you have to say position to your target positioning is other dot position. All right. All right, so it's time to add yet another Pokedude and then hit them. So please make sure that in this hit, there was a typo. Hit needs to have POS equals other.POS. Otherwise, it'll say this weird argument down here. Positional argument issue. All right, once you got that, we should be able to make another Pokedude, which I'll call this P1 and this P2. P2 will not be player 1. And so now we can do P1.draw, P2.draw. And I don't really need it for the game so much right now, but I'm just going to. It's going to later on be something, so we'll go ahead and we'll do a quick def on key down. We're gonna add a lot more of this later, but just so we can test it out on key down, key. I'll say P1 dot hit P2. So that way we can at least see it happen. Okay. So you should have a couple of Pokedudes appear on your Pokepitch. If you press, let's see here. I think I bound it to key 1. Did I not? No, I didn't. Oh, it's just any key at all. Yeah, it's any key at all. You should run and hit your Pokedude. So that's just to test the animation. That is pretty cool. Now, what I did was I did an if statement to see if they were self.player1 or not, and I used that to make it actually run through, because if I recall, this other game, similar Pokedude, used to have, they would always, there was this cute little animal that could do lightning, and he would always run, he would like get crouch down and run right through the enemy. So I always liked that. So that's what I did there, as opposed to just look like they're kissing or something. And so I did that. I did that here. So I would say, if self.player1 then I know that I need to make, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to run through them. And I just said that my target position is other x plus 100, other x, the x coordinate of the other Pokedude plus 100, other dot y minus 70. So I made my position a tuple, an xy coordinate here, and then I would just say, else, if you're not player 1, then I did the exact same thing but in reverse. So I just copy and pasted this. And I made this minus 100 and plus 70. And then that gives me like this run through kind of thing when I attack. All right, we still haven't quite finished this one because we haven't done the options, which we'll do later. But let's go ahead and let's go ahead and make a subclass. We're going to make a subclassification of Pokedude. So what we're going to do is make a water type Pokedude. So this is a water Pokedude. And water Pokedude subclass is Pokedude. Now, that means that we inherit all the methods and variables that we created up here. But it also means we inherited all the actor stuff as well, because Pokedude is an actor. So let's make our init, our constructor. So we're going to take in just whether or not we're player 1. So player 1 true means that you're player 1. Otherwise, you would say you're player 2. We have to call the super initializer. But we're going to override some of the default values. We're going to send it to player 1, whether we're player 1 or not. But if you recall, we set some default values here. We're going to do some of those. We're going to leave the power the same. we're going to make mana stronger, but the defense will be less. So, and we can play with these later. So HP, we're going to make the default 15 for a water Pokedude. Mana, water Pokedudes are known for their magical prowess, so they have 15 mana. But they are not as strong. Defense of 8. We're also going to change some things. We're going to change our resting to be of image Water Snake 0. Self-attacking. And y'all, don't make fun of these images. I actually work pretty hard on them. Water Snake 1. And I made it all at Piskel. If you haven't been there, Piskel.com, it's where it's at for making your own little images. Water Snake 2. And I'm going to set my my image. I think we need to go ahead and set self.image here as well, because the original Pokedude was just sent the generic. So we need to go ahead and say self.image is equal to self.resting. So at this point, if we change P1 and P2 from Pokedudes to water Pokedudes, we should have a little different situation. Yeah, you should have the water type Pokedude. Notice the crazy eyes when he attacks. Also notice the momentary black eye and scuff on the other Pokedude. Pretty awesome, huh? Now, because we have a disbalance in our power and defense, at the end of this exercise, I should see a difference between P1.HP and P2.HP. You see P2 was reduced down to 1 after repeated bombardment. All right. So, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to start to make this into an actual fight game. And in order to do that, we're going to make a class called Turn Options. And Turn Options is a class just for organizing the different options that a Pokedude will have. So that self.option1 is just blank. Self.option2, blank. Self.option3, blank. And self.option4 is finally blank. So basically, it's just an organizational class so that I have turn options.option1, turn options.option2, turn options.option3, etc. Now we can add those options to our Pokedude, excuse me. When we commented that self.options that we have to come back and do that, self.options are our turn options. And every Pokedude has one option. Option 1 is always hit. Option 1 is always hit. Okay, excuse me. Sorry. After we make turn options, you have to say self.options.option1. And so where we're going with this is that we're going to have several different options. Options 2, 3, and 4 will actually be specific to each Pokedude type. So we may have to refactor this later, but I just want to have this for demonstration purposes. So notice what we're doing here. We're making an object that's a turn options, and so it belongs to the Pokemon. The Pokedude has their options, and then their options include option 1, and we're setting it to just hit. Okay? Now, the next thing I want to do, the next kind of refactoring, we're going to do just a little bit more. When I say refactoring, I mean we're not making major changes to how the code behaves. We're making changes to how our program is organized. And I want this game to be organized in a fight. So I'm going to make a class called Fight. And again, it's going to be just an organization class. And I'll have self.pokedude1, so P1, and that will be a water Pokedude for player 1. Self.p2 is a water Pokedude. Oops, I missed a D. And they will be player 2. So without having to having to do making like an interface for the user, that would be better, of course. But when we create our different Pokedudes, we can try them out by just changing them right here. Okay, so we're no longer going to use this because they're going to be in a fight. We're also going to make a variable indicating whose turn it is, called P1 turn, which will start as true. Now, that could also be dependent on a variable called speed. Some Pokedudes have a higher speed, so they get to go first. So you could compare the speed of the two Pokedudes and determine whose turn it is first in this fight. So that would be kind of where you would go with that, whether it's player 1 that goes first or player 2. But we'll just start with player 1 for now, just to keep it simple, okay? So we're going to have to change our drawing. We can't just say P1.draw because we have to have a fight now. And so we're going to say we're going to make a game. So right here I'm going to say game equals fight. So now I've got a game that's an instance of fight. And so what does that mean game has? Game has a P1, and game has a P2, and game has a player 1 turn. Got it? So I don't say P1 draw, I say game.P1 draw. Now you might be concerned, wait a minute, isn't game further down the code than where you're typing it? Will it know what it is? Well, remember, this function will not be called until all the way after at the bottom when I say pgzrun.go. That's when it starts the drawing. So at that point, game has already been made, and so it's fine. Game has a player 1, game has a player 2. All right, and we need to draw their weapons, but we'll do that later. And I just had it to where the weapons are always drawn because it's an empty picture. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of code here. By that I mean a lot of code. If it is not game p1.animation.running. Woof, we're getting very dot heavy, right? So let's follow this. Okay. If it is not true that player 1 from this game has a running animation. So remember, game.p1 is a water Pokedude. Water Pokedudes are Pokedudes. They have an animation called self.animation. In the animation class, animations have a stop method, a running, and an on finished. So I'm saying if not player one's animation running. So player one, I got too many ends there. Player one has to not be animated because I don't want to do this while I have an animation running. That's going to be weird. And also, I don't want player two's animation running and not game.p2.animation.running. And what I'm saying is not equal to true, right? Or I could say if this is equal to false. That's what I'm saying, right? Because game1.p1.animation.running is true if the animation is currently being animated, false if it's not. But I don't have to say that. I can just say if not, meaning only if that value is false. And I think it makes it more readable. So if not game player 1 animation running and not game player 2 animation running, then we are going to draw to the screen. If game.p1 turn, then screen.draw.text player 1 go. We're going to draw that screen. We're going to draw it at XY location 50 to 50 with the font size of 50 and a 90-degree angle. So we're going to write it up and down because it looks cool. And poke will be player 1. Else, it must be player 2 turn. And if you want, you can just copy this. I actually made my text angle in a different direction to make it very clear when it's player 2's turn. I moved it up to 50 here on the Y, and I set the animation angle back at 0 so that it makes a very distinct difference in how it looks. Font size. But in that case, poke is game.p2. And so what I do there is poke. That allows me to get out of these if statements and write the rest of the code that will happen for a Pokedude. And it will be, that poke, when I code it, will be player 1 if it's player 1 turn, player 2 if it's player 2 turn. And what I did was I just write their options to the screen. So I just say like screen.draw. Oh my gosh, I said dot test. Y'all, that should be dot text. I mean, I'm drawing words here. Yeah, it was spelled wrong. And then we could say 1. So they press 1, the key 1 for str poke.options.option1. And I want to write it 100, 100. And I think I said font size equals 30. The default angle is 0, so that's fine. Well, actually, apparently 35 is what I thought was more appropriate. And then, just copy and paste that and change these each time. Poke.options to option 2, poke.options to option 3, poke.options to option 4. And then that, oh my goodness, I should have said 2. I want to change the numbers so that they press different numbers. I need to change the location. See, this is why you don't copy and paste, y'all. Okay, yeah, I was like, why can't I read it? It's I'm writing on top of itself like over and over again. All right, so yeah, I'm changing the Y coordinate, moving them down. Sorry about that. Make sure you do that, please. And so you'll see only after the animation. What? You ever have one of those days where you just can't code? All right, maybe that'll look better. All right, I like that. So it's player one's turn, and I said, if you press 1, okay. P1 is not, oh yeah, we got to go in here and say game.p1.hit. And we'll, obviously we still can't change turns yet. We'll handle that in the next lesson. But I did want you to see if I could, I got to say game.p2. All right, now because I refactored all that. I just wanted you to see the menu disappear during the animations and come back. There it is. So it kind of gives you that like focused look. Then once the animation's over, it comes back. All right, we will take this the rest of the demonstration way on the next lesson, and then you will start adding more stuff.